So Docker is very, very important, uh, very trending technology nowadays. In fact, if you are working in the tech industry, then you can't go away with Docker. Some way or the other way, you'll found Docker. So it's very important topic, and we are very thankful to speaker Mr. Mudassir Ahmed for taking his time out and sharing this knowledge base with us. He's an experienced person. He's a senior analyst working in the leading MNC. With this, we'll hand over to Mr. Mudassir Ahmed to start the presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much for your kind words, Shoaib. Unfortunately, I'm not keeping well, so I might sound a bit low, but then we'll not lose the energy. So, um, this topic is more on the Docker side. So, what is Docker and why it is used and where exactly it is used. So, let's start in knowledge of what DevOps, so what Docker exactly is, and what basically goes around through this. All right. So, firstly, we should understand that what happens when a product is built in team, and then they can probably go ahead and run their application on the product, basically running the code, meaning writing some new lines of code, and that team is called developer. So when the developers are writing new lines of code, they will be storing the code into a safe place, and that safe place is called as code repository, right? I am wantedly not making use of MS Paint, although I'm habituated and my sixth sense is scolding me for not to. But then I want you guys to imagine and walk me through in the world of imagination. Okay, so just imagine a team of developers. They are writing some vigorous code and they are storing into some secure vault, and that vault is nothing but a code repository, right? So from the code repository, the code, which is a raw code, is just a line of code, may it be written in any technology stack. If the project is intended to be a Java based application, so the developers are writing in Java language. Similarly, may it be .NET, Python, whatever the languages are available in the market. So once the code is securely placed in the repository, you as a DevOps engineer or anybody as a DevOps guy, what they do is they take the code, which is a raw code. So obviously raw code cannot be made use of, right? So you have to convert that raw code into an executable format, and this process is called as building. Okay, building is nothing but conversion of the raw code into an executable package. And when you build the code, the end product, the package which is generated after building, it is called as an artifact, right? So let's start from the scratch again. There is a dev team which is working on writing code. They're storing the code into a repository, and there is a DevOps team which is pulling the code and they're building it. So as soon as they build, it is ready to be deployed. So what is the meaning of deployed, sir? A deployment is nothing but, sir, you have a package which is in a good shape. Now it needs an environment to run. Otherwise, how can you make use of that application, right? I just have a dummy file with me. If I have a .mp3 file, if I don't dump that into a VLC media player or a Windows media player, I cannot listen to that mp3 file, right? So I have a package, I have to just dump that into a suitable environment. So similarly, what I'll do is deploy that onto an environment. Now, what is an environment? Every project has number of environments. Now, let's understand what is an environment. An application or a product is rigorously and keenly tested. So the environments are of type like there will be a dev environment, there will be a QA environment, there will be a stage environment, and there will be prod environment, right? So the dev environment is nothing but dev server, and that dedicatedly is used by dev team. Okay, and the QA environment is dedicatedly used by QA team. Now you ask me a question. So if I am a QA person, do I need to know how to access to a server, and then if something goes bad, do I be accountable of? The answer is no. The answer is absolutely no. But then why you are telling that the QA environment dedicated to the QA team? So let's understand it cleanly. When I say that an environment is dedicated to a particular team, it does not mean that the server itself is owned by them. It means that when a product is deployed onto that environment, it generates a URL, right? So let's say my server is ABC, then the URL will be like https://abc.com. So that URL is something that is owned by QA team, not the server. The server again will be handled by the infrastructure team, which initially I mentioned of. If you have the recording with you, you can go back. So there is a virtualization team or an infrastructure team. So that is our next point working out. Okay. So what happened is when the technology emerged, then something called VMware came up and they said we will do it through virtualization, right? What is virtualization, sir? Virtualization is nothing but through a big box, through a single big box, you can create multiple operating system instead of creating a single operating system out of a big box. Okay, in your companies, you might have seen those big boxes somewhere, you know, in the corner of your floor or something. You will be seeing those servers, right? So virtualization came ahead and proposed that okay, from this we are going to generate multiple operating systems, so you don't have to pay for each box separately. You can uh, parallelly make use of operating systems. That's great, right? So we started using it, and right now also there are many projects we are still which are still using VMware. So what does it do, sir? It basically on top of that physical box, it just creates multiple VMs, and that is called a virtual machine, right? Which is what you access in your companies. You log into a Windows machine, you log into a Linux machine, right? So um, uh, so this is what you do while accessing your VM. So they create multiple VMs, right? But then virtualization also comes with a cost, correct? It also comes with a cost. So my point here is, what is the next step? I want my application to be always up and running. I don't want to pay so much for the what do you say, the infrastructure point of view, because I have other areas also to pay for. I don't want to spend too much amount here. Then Docker came into the picture. All right. So now let's go to the next slide. You see the difference. On the left hand side, you see something like this. That is the best example of virtualization. There is a belt of infrastructure that you can imagine it as a big box. On top of the big box, there's a utility called hypervisor running. Okay. On top of hypervisor, you create a number of VMs based on the availability or based on the capacity, right? VM1, VM2, VM3, you create bunch of VMs there. Okay. Sorry to stop. Wahed, can you please check? A couple of the participants are not able to hear my voice. Could you please guide them?
Um, your voice is clear, sir, right?
Okay, maybe.
You are audible actually. It was before.
Okay, fine. All right. So let's resume then. Sorry. So what I was saying is, on top of the hypervisor, you create multiple VMs. VM is nothing but an operating system of, sorry, a machine with an OS installed, which basically the exact same server which you are accessing in your company right now. Okay. So that VM has its own operating system. It has its own library files, and on top of that, you are running an application. So please only focus on the left diagram. Okay. So let's say that I have an application A running on VM1, and I need another instance of application. So I probably have to go for another VM. Then I need another instance of the same application. I have to go for another VM. Okay. So now the problem here is, if I want to create the if I want to request for uh, larger traffic, for the application, I have to similarly go ahead with increasing as many servers as per my requirement. Okay, I repeat, if I want my application to host big amount of traffic, I have to similarly increase those many servers at the back end. But I cannot go ahead and request for so many VMs, right? So now Docker came into the picture and said, knock knock, I'm here to help you in a way that you have your infrastructure. That's great. You installed hypervisor on that. That's great. Now let's remove that hypervisor. Okay, you do one thing, sir. On top of your infrastructure, what you do is you just simply install a host OS, meaning one big box will have only one host OS, right? Then on top of that host OS, you install Docker. Now, what is that, sir? What is that Docker? This Docker is the software that we are going to run, that we are going to make use of right now. It's nothing but, in technical terms, that is called as Docker daemon. Okay. In general words, it is called as Docker engine. You install Docker. Now, on top of that big dabba, you are just installing a single operating system. And you're saying that, okay, hey, on top of you just give me from that point only. I don't want VMs. I don't want anything. Just give me something which has an operating system pre-installed. I'll take care from there. So you install Docker on top of that. Now, how Docker is overcoming the problem of increasing the servers as per the requirement? Now, the Docker is saying that, hey, on top of me, meaning on top of the Docker daemon, I'll be running bunch of containers. Now, majority of people say that container is a replacement of VM, which is absolutely wrong. It is not. Container, okay, for an understanding, you think, okay, VM are being replaced by containers, but then in reality, it is nowhere like that. Container is a very lightweight running instance of an image. Now, Mudassir, you're telling us two new words. We accept, okay, you're saying Docker, and we just accept the fact that there is something called Docker. Now, what is a container and what is an image? Please emphasize. Yes, please. So the image, if you remember, let's rewind our session 10 minutes before. Okay, so we were discussing about generating an artifact, right? Pulling raw code and then building it, producing an artifact, right? That generation of an artifact, correct? That was a traditional approach. Now Docker also needs an artifact, because without building, how can you deploy, right? So in other words, generating an artifact in Docker style is called as image. Okay, image is nothing but, it is it is also an artifact, but in Docker way. How do you create an artifact? We will learn today. And when an image is ready, when an image is ready, you deploy that image into a container, not into a server. Till now we were just deploying an application into any of the dev environment, QA environment. Now here also you'll call it as a dev and QA environment only, but you will not deploy that onto a server. You will deploy it onto a container. Now what is a container? Container is a running instance of an image. In other words, it's just a runtime instance of an image. It basically runs an image. Okay. Now, I know you must have a lot of questions in your mind. You must be having a lot of confusions in your mind, but just close your eyes and listen to my voice. There is something called an image, and that image is produced by Docker, and that image can only be accessed when it is deployed into a container. Okay, as simple as that. No big story, no big drama. Now let us try to understand how Docker actually works as an architecture. See, I'm not a big fan of putting as many slides to my presentation. I try to keep my slides as minimal as possible. So this is the last slide, don't worry. After this, we'll try hands-on demo. I know you guys are excited for hands-on practical. Okay, so let's understand the architecture. Let me actually maximize this. I hope you guys are able to see this properly. Okay, so there are three boxes, two small and one bigger. So on the left hand side, it's a client, meaning you are accessing the Docker from an end user interface. Okay, which can be through a UI or command line interface, meaning you can access Docker through a browser, a dashboard, or you can actually access it through a command line interface through a black screen of Linux. Okay, so when you give a command, it actually goes to Docker host, which is the main heart of Docker, where Docker daemon resides. So when Docker daemon is given a command with, it actually access two things. One thing is container, or the other is image. Based on your command, if you want to see how many images are running, the Docker daemon will go ahead and see the list of the history of the image, and it will give you the list of images and the number of basically the count of images that those are running in your particular server. Similarly, if you want to check any command that is precisely related to containers, then the daemon will route your request to the containers box. Okay, now there is something called registry. In order to understand registry, let us try to understand a flaw. Okay, let's say I am a DevOps engineer, and what I did is I built an application version number 1. Version number 1 is tested in QA. Perfect. The QA team said, hey, Mudassir, you did a good job. Thank you so much. And move this version 1 to production. I'm very happy. I moved the version 1 to production. And production is nothing but the live environment, okay, which is accessible to internet or whatever. It's a live environment. I moved it to live environment. It is accessible. Great. After a few days, the developers writing new enhancement to the code. I built again, and I named it as version number 2. The QS said version number 2 is good. Proceed ahead and deploy to production. I deployed it to production, the version number 2. It's all good. So version number 1 is overridden by version number 2 in production. Okay. Now there is no version 1. There's only version 2. I'm talking about production environment. All right. So now developers again, you are the project managers, right? You came up and you said, hey, we want this feature, we want that feature. So the developers scratching their head started writing the code again. Now this is version number 3. It is in QA, and the QA team said to all of you, to all the project managers, the QA said, hey, listen, this seems to be working sometimes, this seems to be not working sometimes, we are not sure how it will react in production, but you guys are facing pressure from client, no? So you are saying, okay, don't worry, just push it to production, we will give sign off. I am under your pressure, my majesties. So I just went ahead and I deployed it to production. Next night, the application crashed. All the users started complaining. All the users started complaining. You woke me up late night. All you project managers, huh? You woke me up and you said, "Hey, Mudassir, we have to roll back." Now, what is roll back? Roll back in the sense, bring back the previous version, man. Version number 3 is very bad. Bring back the previous version. Now, what if I tell you that I did not save any version with me? All I did is I just copied from here, pasted there, and deleted. What you will do? You will say, come to our office next morning and take your resignation letter. Correct? This is what you will tell me. So, in ideal scenarios, I have to save all my versions. Otherwise, we don't know what will happen in the production. We should be in a position to step back in the project scenario. It is called suit. Correct? We should take a shape anytime, right? We can only do that when we have the stable backup plan. So in as an ideal practice, I should be saving all the versions, right? And the place where I save all the versions is called as an artifactory. Why artifactory? Because v1, v2, v3 are nothing but artifacts. And a factory where artifacts are stored is nothing but artifactory. Okay, I'm sounding so lame, sorry, but then that's true. But in Docker also you have image 1, image 2, image 3. That is nothing but v1, v2, v3. And image 1 you deploy it to container, image 2 you deploy it to a container, image 3 also you deploy it to a container. And then you have to save those images somewhere, right? And the place where you save all those images is nothing but Docker registry. You got my point? The place where you store all your images. And I'll tell you one thing, this you are not alone, sir. We will also save our images. Why Docker need to save their images? Because they also want to contribute to the Docker world. They will say, hey, this is our net image, this is our Maven image. So they will try to push something from their end. So all the predefined images and the custom images are stored in a place that is called as Docker registry. That is nothing but your third box. Okay, enough of discussions. If you have any questions, shoot. Otherwise, we'll start the demo. Let me open the chat box. Okay. Is artifact an executable file? Good question. Uh, yes, it is an executable file, but it needs a suitable environment only to be executed. For example, you have a .pdf file. Okay, you cannot open a .pdf file in Notepad, right? Neither you can open that in a what do you say, Windows Media Player. You either need an Adobe Acrobat or a Chrome browser, right? So it is an artifact is an executable file, but where you are trying to execute, it needs a suitable environment to be executed. Okay, what is the advantage of Docker? Cool. So there are two types of registries. That's a good question, Rahim. That's a good question. So we have two types of registries in Docker. One is actually in a registry you create your own repository. Okay, every company, every project, they will have their own repository. One is the public repository, and the other is private repository. Okay, the first and the foremost advantage is you are not spending on your storage. You're just subscribing to, if you're going to the private repository in Docker registry, you're saying that, okay, this is my limit of what do you say, the number of images that I'll be storing on these many weeks or months or whatever, based on the package. Okay, you are not saving, you're not spending on the storage, firstly. The second answer is, the advantage of that is it is accessible anytime. Okay, it is accessible, so you are not accountable of any disaster that happens. I hope that answers your question. What is Docker? What is Docker client do? Okay, Docker client is nothing but the end user interface. So you and I are users. Okay, you can think from that point of view. We are the clients. We pass some arguments. We pass some actions. So what are those actions? We will learn now. So when those actions are passed, it will route to the actual Docker daemon, and then internally it does some calculations. We'll learn all that in detail. What is the difference between repository and artifact? That's a good question. So the repository which we discussed in the initial of this discussion is nothing but the code repository. It stores the code. For example, if you have developer team writing the code, they will make use of any kind of repository, may it be Git, SVN, Bitbucket, whatnot. Okay, so these repositories are used for storing the code. Now, what is the advantage of using a repository is because in complete word, it's called as a version control system, not a repository. Okay, it's called as a version control, VC. Now, what is a VC? In day-to-day world, people are calling it as a repository, but it ideally should be called as a version control. Why it is called as version control? Once the file is uploaded to that place, it keeps track of that. Even though you delete it, even though you modify it, it keeps track of it. So you can immediately switch back to any older version. So let's say you and I are developers. Okay, you are working on some feature, you're writing code, you pushed in the lines into a repository, and I'm also a developer. Parallelly, I'm doing the same, and I'm pushing that to my branch. Okay, I did some blunder, and I checked in a wrong code. Now my code is not working in the from the repository. What I'll do, I'll switch back to the previous version of recent most checked in version. Okay, it gives me that feature also. So that's why people make use of it. So the difference between that is, repository you predominantly make use of the raw code. Artifact is nothing but the built format of that code, the package, the end product of that particular raw code. Okay, after you convert that, you basically apply some commands. It all depends on what kind of technology you are making use of. So let's say if I'm using Java language, I'll just do that with the help of Maven, if Maven is being used by developers, or through Gradle or Ant, whatever the build tool. Let's not confuse ourselves. So if the technology is Java, I'll pass some commands: clean, install, package. Then that will automatically internally do some blah blah blah. It will convert my entire raw code into a end product that is called artifact. So raw repository is predominantly for the code, artifact is the end product of the code. So image is compressed version of artifact, and backups will be image or artifact. So okay, let's go one by one. Image is compressed version of artifact. Image is not a compressed version of artifact, but then you can say that. Okay, good question. Let me add something to that. So there is something called Docker file. Now, Mudassir, firstly, you said only image and containers. And we are slowly are bringing new methods and new terminologies. I'm really sorry. Let's go slow by slow. Okay. So there is something called Docker file. What is a Docker file, sir? Docker file is nothing but a file where you will write only very few commands. Very few commands. Only 4 to 5 lines. That's it. Now, those 4 to 5 lines, when executed, they will create an image. So who is responsible? Docker file is responsible. So the Docker file is actually the one which is helping you to create the image. It is not the compressed version of artifact. It all depends on what you are writing inside the Docker file. Okay, and backups will be image or artifact. So if artifact is nothing but a terminology, sir. It's just a term. So let's say if I'm a Java developer, what will be my end product of the technology? It's nothing but app.var. So that .var is nothing but the artifact. Okay. In Docker world, instead of calling it as an artifact, people start to term it as an image. Okay. It's just a name replacement. All right. So let me, can AIX OS be used on Docker? Absolutely, yes. Why not? Is there any disadvantage at all in using Docker over VM? Good question. So there are no disadvantages if you are making use of Kubernetes also with Docker. But then if you are only utilizing Docker, then there are some disadvantages. So can you please remind me this question one more time at the last of the session, because it would be very senseless to actually comment on this without a demo. Okay, so please do remind me any disadvantages of this. So do we need to save all the versions? If suppose we release version 3, then what would the use of version 1? Only v2 would be the required. You never know, sir. That's a good question. You never know what the client wants. Okay, let's say um, let's say the end users, my users are in Brazil, Australia, Europe, etc. Okay, version 1, I changed the UI across all the countries. Version 2, again I changed the UI across all the countries. Version 3, I again changed the UI across all the countries. So 3 times I'm just going ahead and changing the front end of my application. Suddenly the Brazil people said, hey, we are not liking this. We only like what was there in the beginning only. You never know what is the demand from the users, right? So in that case, you might have to switch back to the oldest version. There are scenarios. So it's always a best practice to save all the versions rather than just saving the immediate fourth. Okay. Also, can we limit the processor and memory consumption for Docker container? That is absolutely a great question. Yes, we can do that. And we can play around with the containers. We can give RAM, we can give the CPU, we can give, I'll tell you one thing, we can give the number of threads for a container. Okay, let's say I have an image and the image is for, let's say, what is called uh, and give some random example, let's say YouTube. Okay, you have an image for YouTube, and my YouTube application is only accessible across India. Let's say just imagine. Okay, I'm really sorry for giving this example, but that's what came into my mind. Let's say it's only used in India. All right, so I want to run this image, the YouTube image, to be dynamically what do you say, dynamically fresh and dynamically able to take n number of traffic. So the thing is, let's say in Tamil Nadu, if the application is being accessed so much, immediately the backend servers, oh, sorry, not the servers, if we are talking about Docker, right? So containers, immediately the backend container should increase. So that is called as auto scaling, right? So here you can, in Docker, you can not just give the RAM size, CPU size, etc. You can also give the replicas. Now, what is a replica? It means number of containers that are running the same image, right? Now, that's something into the networking part. But to answer your question, that's a good one. Yes, we can do that. What is the extension of Docker while saving image? Yeah, image extension is nothing but .iso, but then you never see .iso anywhere in the Docker. It's just that a file name. All right. So thank you for all the questions. I guess there are not many pending. We'll get started with the demo. All right. Let me just quickly do one thing. I'll log into a VM. I just created one Linux VM. Um, I'm sorry, I cannot give you password. Okay. I'm just logging. I hope you guys are able to see my screen, right? Just type in yes if you're able to. I'm logging into Putty. I got some chats. Yes. Thank you so much for confirmation. So this is a black screen. Now, what is this black screen, sir? This black screen is the um, something given by Putty. Putty is a software, and then here I'm running an operating system of Linux. I created a VM on cloud. I'm accessing that VM through this IP address. Don't get confused. Okay, this is an Ubuntu 18.06 LTS. Let me just confirm it. Yeah, it's an Ubuntu. So it's basically a Linux one. All right, so let's get started. So I think I should have Docker with me. If not, then I have to install it. So right now, guys, let's install Docker. Okay. So what is the command? The the Linux itself is saying that use this command to install Docker. Okay. Now let me see. I was thinking that this server will have Docker, but then I have to see. Let me parallelly run this. If it does not help, then I have to go through my stored commands. Okay. All right. So this is something doing. So this is the installation of Docker engine. Okay. Basically the Docker daemon. Don't get confused. So we are installing so that we can give the commands to the engine, and the engine will again process something. All right. Um, All right, so let's confirm it if this is installed or not. Yeah, looks like it is installed already. Let me update all the repositories and install the Docker IO as well. Sudo apt. 1 second. This is all right. Sorry. Let me just update the repository first, and then go ahead and install Docker IO. Don't get confused. Okay, this is what your infrastructure will give to you. They will install Docker and give it to you. You just need to learn how to access the Docker. Okay, so let's get started now. Once this is done, how many of you guys are Java lovers? Okay, I'm pretty sure that I'll not get more votes for it. How many of you guys hate programming? Just give me a yes. Let me see the chat window. How many of you guys? Yes, yes. I'm getting a lot of yes. Okay, so a lot of you hate programming, huh? Cool. You know what? Even Sayyid Hussain says no. Great. So I come from a development background. I don't hate programming, but I don't like to code. Uh, all right, so let's wait for it to get completed. The reason why I asked is you have to only write a Docker file here. Everything will be something given by the developers. There's something given as DevOps is all programming. No, sir, DevOps is no programming. DevOps is a bit of scripting, that too for automation. You hardly see programming in DevOps. Uh, Programming is life for creative minds. That's cool. Thanks for the catchy line, sir. Okay, so we looks like we are done with the Docker installation. Right now, what we are going to do is we will be writing a sample Java program. Okay, do not worry, do not get confused. This is something will be given by your developer. Okay, so now let me go back. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to here and I'll create a directory, Docker demo. Let me just clean the screen. Docker demo is the folder I created. I'm in here. I'll do one thing. I'll just create a, oh, sorry. I'm inside this, okay. I'll just create a file called hello.java. This is nowhere to be related, okay. If you want to yawn, if you want to look here and there of your screen, you can, because right now I'm being a developer. I'm just trying to write a sample code. Okay, our task does not start here. Why this is not opening? Oh, 1 second, let me just relog in. So meanwhile, if you want to unmute yourself and ask me any questions, you can, because let's keep this interactive rather than uh, just me reading the questions. I don't want to be an RJ. Okay. I missed your half-hour session. Could you please share the recording link? Wahid bhai, Shoaib bhai, a lot of people are complaining with the audio.
Actually, as Wahid told, when you join the Zoom from the mobile, then there is an option connect with your audio device. That option you need to select. Otherwise, what will happen actually, speaker won't be on. So ensure that you have selected that option. Voice is very clear on Zoom actually.
All right, so I just opened the file. The command to open a file is, there are plenty of them. I like to use the Vim editor. Okay, so I'm just writing something. Hello. This is the class end. Okay, and then I have to just write main command publish static void main string array args. Don't get confused. Okay, what this is? You promised us to teach Docker, and you're writing again programming. Don't worry. This is something that should have to come from developers. Unfortunately, our developers are on leave, so I have to do this. Println hello all. All right. So this is it. Class hello public static void main string array args. Okay, am I missing anything? System right println. Okay, it's been a long time I coded. All right. So what I'll do is, do I have Java? No. Let me install Java. Shall we go the Java way, or shall I directly teach you through Docker? All right, let's do one thing. Directly, let's go through Docker. Now, if you see, if I type in Java, it says the Java is not there in your local, but I want to run this Java application. You understood my concern? I don't have Java installed on my machine, but I have a Java program. I want to run it. I just have a Docker installed on this VM. How do I do that? Now, firstly, what you have to do is you have to write a Docker file. In the same folder, I'll create another file, which is nothing but Docker file. Simple. Vim Docker file. Now what I'll do is, now this is something really important. You ask me as many questions as you want to, but this is a crucial way. If you get confused here, you will not understand Docker. As simple as that. So ask me anything. Okay. Now, when you write a Docker file, the first column of each command, meaning the first word, is the command in the Docker file. Okay. Do not get confused. It is very simple. I hope you guys are coming through engineering phase, right? In engineering, you used to write COBOL language, right? All the commands from, run, copy, only those are the commands. All right. So the first and the foremost command in the Docker file is nothing but from. Now, what from, where from, and why from? What from is nothing but the you are giving a base platform. Why do I need a base platform? Because hey, you do not have Java installed on your VM, and you're saying that you want to run Java. How would you do that? You have to give a base platform, right? Then that's just like installing Java on my VM. No, sir. You're not installing Java on your VM. You are just pulling something from Docker registry. What is this, sir? When you give from command, you have to give the image name. Now, what is this image name? I'm trying to build an image and you're saying to give image name. Now that's a tricky part. I told you, right? Docker registry is being used for two images, two types of images. One is a custom image and the other is predefined images. Those are the ones given by sometimes the Docker itself or sometimes the certified users of Docker. Okay, fine, I understand. Okay, there are two types of images, but my question is still not resolved. Why do I need to pull the base image? So if you do not pull the base image, how will your Docker file understand that Java is a command? You understand my point? And now I have to give Java image. Now what is this? Colon 8. I understand Java is an image. I know you guys are very angry on me. Mudassir, you initially said only images and containers, and slowly you are bringing so many complex things. No, it's not like that. So right now it's just that you are building the base image. Now why base image? This particular thing, right, from Java, this is having everything you need in Java. Everything. Java C, Java command, Java W, everything you need, it's there in that image. Okay, now what is colon 8? Colon, whatever comes after colon is the version of that image. If I don't give 8, I can just give latest. Okay, it will pick the latest version from the Docker registry. Now I'll just, for my safe side, I'll give Java 8, meaning it will pull the image from Docker registry. Okay, now who will pull, sir? Your Docker daemon will pull. It will interact to your docker.io and it will pull your image from there. Okay, because it's a free image, everybody can do it. So you're just pulling that image. Now you have the image. This is a predefined image. Our intention, do not get carried away. Okay, our intention of writing this Docker file is to build our own image. So to build our own image, we are just pulling the predefined image just because we need those commands. Okay, now after that, I'll do one thing. Let me just scroll a bit up. Sir, in my folder, how many files are there? There is only one file, right? Now I have the image. Just imagine that this is a small house. You guys are with me, right? Sorry, guys, I'm not seeing your chat. Give me 2 minutes. This is a small house. All right. So this is my file. Now this file is sitting outside the house, correct? I just created a new house through from command. And this file hello.java is in my local VM, meaning it is outside the house. Let us open the doors and bring inside the house. Copy dot. Dot means everything which is there in the current directory. Current directory of what? Current directory of where my Docker file is sitting. Okay. Instead of giving hello.java, I want to be smart and just give dot. Don't get confused. I'll paste this into the target folder. The copy command is like that only, right? Source and then followed by destination. I'm just pasting it to some target folder. Now this is confusing. What is this target folder? How do you know, Mudassir? It is an image. I know this path. You can just otherwise save it to temp. It's all your wish. You want to save it to home? Save it to home. Okay. I'm just wanting to save it in var www java. All right. Now, after copying, I want to go to this folder inside the image only, inside this house. Okay. We first built the house. We are allowing our Docker, the Java file to get inside the house. And in this room, this is our drawing room. I want to go into that drawing room. And the present working directory command or cd command is this working directory, work dir. Then again, I have to give this path. Then I will go into the drawing room. Okay. Now, last is what to do? Run Java C. Now, which Java C is coming from where? From this image. Java C. And then what is the file name, sir? Hello.java. Okay. Finish. You're just trying to compile the hello.java file. Everything is happening inside the container only. Now I want to run this hello.java also. CMD. This is the last file. Last command, sorry, not file. The command of running the Java file is Java. The syntax of writing CMD is a little different than above one. Okay. Then hello without Java file, without .java extension. I just have to keep this. Done. Let us revise this commands one more time. You see, only 3 to 4 to 5 commands are there in Dockerfile. If you learn how to write this, see anything if you want to learn, first learn it functionally. Don't just by heart. Okay, work dir. उसके बाद ये आता है, उसके बाद वो आता है. Then you'll fall in a pit. Just you understand functionally what is happening. Firstly, I'm standing outside the house. I created a house. I have to go into the house and then go into some room and then do my operations. Okay. And then run my program. As simple as that. You're actually pulling it. You're not creating by yourself. You're pulling whatever is there in Docker registry. And then you are copying hello.java. Instead of dot, I can also give hello.java. Okay. Don't get surprised. And this is a particular room where I'm copying and I'm just going cd and then running a run command here Java C. This is a compilation command of any Java program. Okay, Java C followed by the file name. And this is a runtime execution command of your Java program. You don't give Java C, you just give Java and then hello. Now, Java C and this Java are the utilities, are the commands, and they are coming from where? This image, right? I'm saving this. If I do ls minus lrt, I have two files. I'll change the permission of this also. Just on a safer side, both will look green, green, happy, happy. Okay, ls minus lrt. Let me open hello.java. You see this. Let me open Docker file. You see this. Okay. Now, our next activity is we have to build the Docker file. We have to build the Docker file. Now, what is the command to build the Docker file? The command is Docker. Any command of Docker is actually starting with Docker only. Wow, so unique, right? Docker build and then minus T for tag. Now, what is a tag? Tag meaning once it is built, it should it should form an image, right? Now, this is a process of building actually. Your raw code is there, right? And you are building it, and you are building it by giving the Docker file. We'll follow that in the command. Don't worry. Minus T is what? Minus T is any name of your image, any tag name. Okay, I will give Java hyphen app. And where is my Docker file? Dot. It is there in the current folder only. So the command will be incomplete if you do not specify Docker file. Docker will say, hey, you are asking me to build, but what to build? You're not giving any Docker file path. So you have to mandatorily give Docker file. It's okay if you do not give minus T and tag, but you should definitely give Docker file path. I'll give dot because dot represents present working directory. Enter. Permission denied. Now what is this error? Okay, let me just switch to root and try again. Home admin POC Docker. All right, so let me just try to run this as root. Yeah, you see step 1, step 2, step 3 are following. Now it is pulling from library. Okay, it is still pulling. Step 1 is happening now. Step 2, it is copying. Step 1 says downloaded newer image for Java, and this is the key, and this is like it is copying my file and Docker file both, because dot means everything in the current working directory, both. Now you see it is successfully done. Now let's read one step after the other. Now step 2, it says copying done. Step 3, now cd to that folder. Great. Step 4, now step 4 says compile. Done. Step 5, it will not show the output, but it will be like when you run the image, right, immediately it will show the output. Let's see that. But you see all the steps got completed. Important part is this. It says built this ID. This is the image ID, and tag name is this. What is the version? Version is the latest one. And you see you are telling a lot many complex things. First, since the beginning you are talking about image, 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 image. Now you asked us to write the Docker file. We wrote it. We executed. Now show us the image. Okay. Now, all you guys want to see the image or not? Okay, fine. If you guys don't want to see the image, that's okay. Uh, I'll be bombarded with messages. Okay. All right. Docker images. It should give me the list of all the images. Let me clear my screen and Docker images. Right. This is the base image and this is my custom image. The base image is also pulled. It is a 3 years ago image. And just now I created a minute ago, and the size is 643 MB. Why 643 MB? Because my image actually has Java image also. So the same size. Okay. This is the image ID. Now Let us try to run this image. What is the command to run this image? Basically, when you say run the image, it's just like forming a container. Okay, creating a container. So without a container, image cannot run. So coming back to one of the questions, is the artifact an executable format? If you have a container, then okay, yes, your image can be run. So let's try to run the Docker contain image, and the command is Docker run. And what should we give, sir? We have to give the image name. That's it. Docker run. You give the image name, and you will see the output. Hello all. If you remember, this was the echo command we gave, right? Hello all. Let's go back to my hello.java. This was the command, right? Hello all. Surprise, I don't have Java in my laptop, but still I was able to execute a Java application with the help of Docker. So how it is happening? It is like you are running a container, and that container is hosting an image. That image internally has all the Java libraries. Okay, you understand now? Any questions for me before we go ahead with another demo? I know I'm crossing a lot of time, but what is the extension of Docker file? Good question. It's just a Docker file. There is no extension, nothing. It should just end with Docker file. Let me take some few questions. Okay, I was seeing a bunch of commands. Oh, sorry, messages. How frequent is the job of creating a Docker file in real time? That's a good question. It all depends on how frequently your project manager wants you to build a new version of image. Recording, of course, the recording will be there. Why we have one time command and one time run? I did not get you, Mirza Tamanna Hussain. Can you please go ahead and ask me one more time in a detailed way? Is mandatory to have Docker file on root directory where project file exists? No, it's not. You can give Docker file anywhere and provide the path of the, provide the full path while running the image. Basically, Docker build -t, give your tag name, and then give the complete path of your Docker file. Okay, instead of giving a dot, you give the complete file of Docker file. So in that case, your Docker file can reside anywhere. All right, so I don't see any questions. I'm waiting for Mirza Tamanna Hussein's question. So if you have to ask me one more time, you can. Can we mount a volume to the container? That's very good question. Yes, we can do that. We can do that, but that's a very advanced thing. So it would be very early for me to show a demo on that before I tell you how mounting and all stuff works. So probably probably we can plan for another session, but let me show you something. Okay, let us go through an Python example also. Java example is very minimal, so let's go with another Python example, and then we can wind up the session. You guys have enough time, right? We are already past 1 hour, so I'm not bored, I'm not tired of. If you guys want to continue, I am here, all right, to assist you or serve you better. uh, there are some few more commands. Oh, sorry, chats. As you said, DevOps is not programming, it is scripting. Which scripting language it is? That's good question. Docker is written in Go programming language, and this Docker file is written in, I don't know which exactly language you call it as, but it's just a bunch of commands from copy, cmd, run, only those commands. I'm really sorry, I don't know what is the name of this programming language. Not programming, the scripting language. If Java image is latest one and it got updated, then it will reflect in our application as well. That is the reason you have to give the version also when you are building it. So I had to actually give Java build -t Java app :v1, but I forgot to do that. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to do that. That's a good question. We will try to build one more time. Docker build -t Java app call a v1, and then Docker file is this. Now, any guesses what will happen? Will the Docker try to pull the image one more time, or will it try to run all the commands again, or not? Let us see. Now I am building the same Docker file, but with a new tag name. Let us see what happens. Hey, within no time it got completed because everything is cached. Not cached, not the money cached. Okay, cached, cached. So because Java 8 is already running, Java image is already running, and everything it's just doing one more time. Okay, now if I try to see the images, it will see a new v1 tag got created. Okay, we can change the tag, don't worry. Once it is created, don't think that it's hard coded. We can change that. I'll give you all the cheat sheets, all the commands, don't worry. All right, so let's try to run one more Python command. See, I'll tell you what, I don't know anything about Python, but still I'm going to run a Python application. Let's do it. Before that, I have few more questions. Farid, thank you. Please continue. Please continue. Oh, thank you so much for that. Mirza Tamanna, you said something run Java C. Okay, let me read your previous question to understand the background. Where is your previous question? Why we have one-time command and one-time run? Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so run is part of your Docker file execution, whereas CMD is executed when you deploy it immediately to the container. Okay, the first command that runs when a container is alive is what you define inside CMD. Okay, that's a good question. Can we run multiple containers of the same image? Why not? That is the purpose of using Docker, right? We want to run multiple containers instead of using multiple VMs. We want as many containers as required. And you know what? We don't Sometimes we don't have to say, okay, I need these many containers only. I'll say you only decide based on your sense. If the traffic is more, you increase. So the backend containers keeps on increasing. Okay, those are called as replicas. Can we pull Apache server from Docker? Why not? Please go ahead and look for any Apache Tomcat or Apache server image. Pull it, do whatever you want to do. I think Alpine is the best one. Can you show how to push Docker into container registry? That's a good question. I know you guys are a lot more enthusiastic. Let me do that. But before that, let's build a Python application. You guys are distracting me, huh? But I did not tell you, after running the container here, I just ran a container here, right? You guys did not ask me, show me how the container is running. Docker image is the command to see the images. But what is the command to see the container? Docker ps minus a. This is the container. So it says exited. Why it exited? Because what it will do after showing the output, its job is to just show the output, right? After showing the output, it exited. So the command was Java hello. This is the CMD command. Okay, the question which I just received. This is the command with which it ran, and the image is this, and container is this. If you want to remove the container, there are commands which I'll show you at the last. All right. So now let us try to create a Python. I'll tell you one thing, be happy I don't know anything about Python. I'm trying it again. So are you guys with me? I'll take that as a yes. I'm really sorry. So let's do that. Let's create another folder, Python. Let's go inside it. All right. There's nothing in here. We have to create 3 files. Touch Docker. Okay. Docker file. This is the file wherein I'll write all my commands to build an image. Python file and an argument file for the Python requirements.txt. Let's change the permission to all to make them look green. Okay, now everything looks good. I'm not a what do you call, I'm not a Python guy, so I'll just have to copy the Python code from somewhere. So let me just copy it quickly. Where it is. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, meanwhile, if you have anything to talk, you can. If you have anything to post, you can. Can we list and see the available Docker available images under Docker repository? I think yes, there are APIs which will allow you to connect to Docker repository and see the list of images. But you can just directly go to the registry. You just, I think that's called as Docker Hub. Google it out and you will see. Okay. All right. So let me just quickly copy the code. Okay, and this is my app.py. I'm just pasting it. So big code, right? I'm not understanding any bits of it. Don't worry. Then our requirements.txt file. Oops. And the requirements.txt file just needs 2 arguments. And just bear with me, okay? I'm being a developer, the very saddest developer. Vim requirements in here. I'm just pasting 2 lines. That's it. Done. The development part is completed. Okay, now it's time for me to write the Docker file. Open the Docker file. And here, firstly, I have to build a house, right? What is the command to build a house? From, okay. And here, do I have to pull a Java image? No. Firstly, let me quit. No. And see if I have Python here. Okay. Uh-oh. All right, I have Python, which is by default, but I don't want to make use of this Python for obvious reasons. So that is the reason I have to go ahead with something provided by Docker, Python, a specific version of it. This is the version. You just go to Docker Hub and type this version, you will see the image of it. Okay. So then after that, what I have to do is I have to copy everything, right? Copy everything to /app. Now this is the new folder again in the what do you say, the Python image, and then setting the present working directory to where to everything to the target folder where everything is copied. Right now, this is the command to actually execute a Python pip install trusted host. Don't worry if you don't know how to build a Python. Don't worry. Then passing the arguments. This is the command that you will learn. So if you know how to build a Python application, this is easy for you. If you don't, then this is something that's a good learning for us, right? So in the run command, everything is like for execution. Now this is an application which will be accessed through the browser. So I have to open some port, right? What is the default port for HTTP? What is the port? It is 8080, and for HTTPS it is 443. But I want to open only 8080. In other words, I'll just open 80. So what is this expose, sir? This port will be open outside the container. Meaning, if I'm accessing the container from outside, I should be able to access it through HTTP. Got it? Now, then I'll just give environment name world. Don't worry, this is just the environment name, env, and then the cmd. Whenever the command, the container is running, it should execute this command app.py. I know few questions that you will be getting. Let's revise from beginning. I'm just building a new house. I'm copying everything into the house. I'm going to that room and doing my operations. And then I'm telling that this room should be accessible or should be visible from the street also through 8080 port. Okay, and then I'm just trying to, this is the environment variable, don't worry. Okay, this is something used by the application. So, and then command, whenever the container is ready, it should just give Python the file name. Perfect. So I'm seeing some questions. Let's address them. Voice is completely down, no voice issue. Login from laptop. Okay, voice is clear. All right, so you guys must be like through mobile, you should connect to the audio. Please do that. All right, so I have the Docker file, I have the Python code with me. The next thing is to build a Docker. All right, now the command to build the Docker is Docker build -t Python demo CGC version 1, and the Docker file is dot. Any questions? Docker build tag, anything I can give, colon followed by the version, and dot is nothing but the Docker file. Okay, enter. It's pulling the Python image, pull completed. It's now copying it, going to that directory, running the execution. It says that port is opened. Perfect. Everything is nicely done. Any doubts here? I've opened port 8080 now. You must be wondering, if you have opened the port, can we access it? Let us see. Docker image. Now let me access all the images. There are two commands, okay? Docker images or Docker image ls. So you see new Python image got created, the custom image, and this is the one which I pulled from the library, and the v1 is the tag, and this is the image id, and this is like 22 seconds ago, and the Python image is 2 months ago. Okay, now after this, what I have to do, sir, I have to run the container. Now here is the tricky part. So before running, while doing the Java program, it was a standalone project, was just showing the output, one line output. But here it's not a standalone object. It is something to be accessed from the browser, right? Correct. So that is the reason we are opening port 8080, right? So here what we will do is, we will try to run the container in such a way that our port is actually matching with the port which is open. Let us not get confused. In a one liner statement, while running the Docker, please take care of defining the port. As simple as that. Okay, Docker run -d. What is -d, sir? -d is nothing but run in the background. Do not disturb us, because you are showing us the output, right? Many people will be accessing this from various parts of the world. Do not disturb us. Let me do something on the VM. Do run in the background. -d. And then -p for the port. I'll give any port, 5000 colon, which is the one I opened. I've opened 80 port. This is my port, and this is the one opened outside the container. You can give 5000, 4000, whatever. And then followed by the image name. Enter. Unable to find CGC latest. Oh, I have to define the version also. Perfect. The Docker is running. Container is running. Let's see Docker ps-a. Oh, it is running up for 5 seconds. Wow. Let us see what exactly happens. But before that, let me access it from here. Curl http localhost 5000. Enter. Wow, it is coming up. So now what I'll do is, I want to get the host name of the container, and then I will be able to access the application, right? Let me quickly get the host name of the server. Somewhere or the other I stored it. Public IP is this. Okay, let me try to access it like this. What is the host name? Okay. The IP address 10.0.0.6. No, this seems to be not the one. I want the public IP. All right, so let's do one thing. I'm from the laptop. Okay, HTTPS colon 40.122.148.145 colon 5000. Let us see if I be able to access this VM onto this port. If this works well and good, otherwise I have to troubleshoot. 40, 122, 148, 145. Yeah, correct. Actually, the last time I did that was through an EC2 instance, meaning I procured a VM in AWS. But this time it's in Azure, so I don't know what is the host name should be given. No, it says cannot be reached. I need to get the host name of the container. One second. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I did allow in the security group. It is there. Let me check one more time. Okay. Meanwhile, you can unmute and ask me anything. I'll fix this. Don't worry. Yeah, everyone is questioning me on the ports. Allow. I'll quickly take a look at the NSG. Okay. Meanwhile, you can unmute yourself and talk to me. We'll fix this out. Don't worry. Hello. Am I audible? Okay, this seems to be not working. My portal. All right, my other laptop got shut down. I was accessing portal there. All right, looks to me I have to recheck on the NSGs. All right, I'll do that. But from the standalone perspective, if I do curl, I'm able to access to the web page. Okay, so if I allow some ports, I should be able to access the same through browser also, ideally. So the thing is, my the conclusion here is, if I am allowing port, then in that case I should be able to access this particular Python application in browser. So with the help of Docker, we are running a container which is basically hosting a web-based Python program, and that shows something on a in an HTML format. So if you allow the port, with particularly should be able to access. Let me check if by default 8080 should do. I don't know. Let me rerun that 8080, because 8080 and 443 are by default open on this VM. So okay. I don't think this is gonna work as well. Oops. I have few pings. Did you allow from your local Linux instance over the port from local server 5 or 10 or 5 or mate? Yep. I know there are a bunch of things to be done. I procured the VM at the last moment, but all right. So I think in the coming thing we can get this sorted out in the coming demo. Basically, this doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so this is it. I thought of showing you the Docker registry, but let me see if I can. Any questions for me apart from this? Yeah, it's working on curl. Yep. Okay, I wanted to show you something more, but before that, okay, Wahid bhai, can you please unmute others, because even though I've asked, looks like there is some problem with them. Let's keep this interactive because we have completed almost most of the session for today. Hello. Hello. Okay. One thing is, the major advantage of using Dockers is I've completely missed that out. So let's keep this in mind. And whenever people ask you about Docker and the advantages, so this is something that you should definitely call out. Okay. So let's say let's understand a real time scenario. All right. There's a project which is working on Java Tomcat, and they have multiple environments, and the same code, same artifact was deployed to dev, QA, stage, and production. Okay. Now, if the what do you say, the artifact is deployed to dev, it's working fine, and QA tested well, good. It's all good. Stage, then the QA team again tested on the stage environment with suitable things. They again gave a sign off, and in production it failed. They are shocked. Everyone is shocked. What could be the reason? Because this is the same package working in all the environments, and production it is failing. So this is the most common scenario people used to face in classical days. So the reason why it happened like that is, in dev QA stage, they were using Java 8, and suddenly production was only using Java 7. Okay, so now instead of like checking the versions in each environment, we are just deploying it and running the application, and because of some missing libraries which are needed for the application, it is failing in production. So with the help of Docker, you are not relying on any of these libraries. It doesn't really matter whether your production environment is having which version of which version of Java or not. Whatever you define in the Docker file, that counts as a bottom line for all the environments. So here it gives you a flexibility to get above the binaries and libraries with respect to any environment. All right. So this is the most acceptable advantage of Docker. Apart from that, let's do one thing. I want you all guys to, so this is the last thing that we'll discuss for the day, because everyone is asking about the Docker repository. Okay. So let me quickly do one thing. Docker image ls. I have these many images. I just want to push Python demo underscore cgc image version 1. I want to push it to my repository. But before I push that, I have to connect to my repository, right? Don't worry, don't get excited. I'll not show you the browser repository until I complete the black screen. Okay, so let's do it from the black screen first. and then we'll see what it looks like and everything from the UI. Beautiful scenarios. Okay, Docker login is the command. It will ask me for username and password. This is my username of the repository, and this is the password. Don't worry, I'll not tell you. Okay, login succeeded. So this is the URL. Meanwhile, you can go ahead and check hub.docker.com. This is the Docker registry. Therein, you have to create a repository, and it basically matters like which repository you are creating and all. Let's do one thing now that you came to know what is the URL and on what is the point of surprising. Let's go to hub.docker.com. I'll log in with the same credentials with which I connected from the CLI. Okay, I have the account already. Okay, so here you see I have two repositories, ESTS1 and sample. This is my favorite repository because I dump everything in here. I don't know why, but this is a repository. And here, if you see, these are tags, all the tags, and these are build. And by the way, this is a public repository because I don't have money. So this is the thing. So in order to upload your artifact or an image to your registry, there are two ways to be followed. First thing is you have to tag that image, and then you have to push that image. Okay, now you have all the images tagged, right? Without this is just the latest one, so you have to tag that. So we'll pick this one. The tag is v1. So what I'll do is I'll just try to uh, tag this in such a way so it is the tag. Okay, somebody is yawning on the speaker. Please, can you please mute? So the tagging is not this tag while building it. Tagging for the registry. So the command goes something like this: docker tag. Then you give the image name colon v1, and then how it goes like my username followed by the repository name, then what tag you want to give there on the target machine, on the target registry, whatever. Okay, I would just want to give cgc underscore June 20. That's it. This is the tag I want to give. So while pulling the image next time from the registry, this will be my command. From, I have to give this line. You guys are getting me? So when I'm writing a Docker file, if I want to pull this image, I'll just have to give from and this file, this command. Okay, this is your local image followed by local tag, and this is the tag you are giving inside the registry. All right, enter. Docker tag is done. Now after this, you see the tag is changed, and this is a new repository, new tag. Okay, now what we will do is we'll just try to push docker push followed by username. Oops, sorry. Username slash the repository colon. What is a tag? This one. Okay. Now enter. It's just pushing, 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 pushing. So everything happens in the layer format. So it'll just try to push. It says it is done. Now let's go back here. Tags. Let me search with my this command. If I see here, it is there. And a few seconds ago, it happened. Now, if I go into this, and if I want to pull this image, you guys also can try. If you want to pull my image, it will just execute this command docker pull, and this is a public one, docker pull, and you see everything is here. If you do this, my what do you say, the image which will be pulled. Now one more advantage is it will be compressed. Then you see right now the size is 159 on my VM, but on the registry is just like 52.92. Make sense? Now, very last thing, okay? Very last thing, I just wanted to show you one interesting thing before we sign off. Uh, hmm. We have bunch of containers running, right? Docker PSA, we have these many containers running. So if I just want to go inside a container, wow, this is interesting. You are telling this part while we are getting bored, huh? So this is the thing, docker sh, it is the command. Shy, because I want to shell into that. It is the interaction way, and I have to give the ID and then bash. Oops, did I give the wrong one? One second, let me just quickly verify what is the command. Yep. So let me see. Exec instead of sh, I should have given exec. Docker exec execution of the container, and then it is interaction way, and then give any of the container ID, then bin bash. I want to interact it like the Linux only. Enter. Now I'm inside the container, sir. And what is the working directory? App. Why? Because in the Docker file, you remember you gave work dir as app. That is why it is. You are directly into app. Now you can do whatever you want to do as you do in the Linux. Hostname is this. Exit hostname doc POC. You see there are two different hostname. Again, I'll get back into the Docker container. Hostname. Now the hostname is different. I'll do whatever you want. I want to do. Just as just as what I generally do inside a Linux VM. Drop command is not found. Okay. Free command also not found. So it's a very lightweight container. There's nothing installed in it. So if you want to do, you have to explicitly install and all. But again, it's not a VM. It's just like a lightweight instance of running an image. So it only gives as many libraries and binaries what are used for your image, not more than that. Okay. So if I go inside app, you will see everything which is copied here. Why it is copied and how it is copied? Because of that Docker file. If you see Docker file inside the container, you can see all these commands. Work dir was app and copy command is this. Right? This is the Linux VM, by the way. Exit. We are out of the container. All right. So this is like a very good fundamentals of Docker. I'll log off from my VM. We'll take the questions from here. Okay. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please shoot. Because I think we are done for whatever we have decided for this session today. I know it had gone way past what we presented, but this is a good learning at the end of the day. And to be honest, if you go ahead and look for the same course around in Amirpet, you must have a lot of thousands in your pocket. But thanks to CGC for arranging this on a public platform so that everyone can learn new technologies. You can share. Because if I'm teaching here, doesn't mean that I know it all. Even I'm learning. And at the end of the day, it's a good learning that we brag in. And trust me, I was down since past 3 days, but the energy that you guys have brought in has had made me to talk continuously for past close to 2 hours. Thank you guys for being so enthusiastic. And one thing I can help you guys with is I can share one document which I had prepared during my knowledge sessions. So what I'll do is please drop in a message in the CGC group, or you can get in touch with Abdul Wahid or Shoaib Bhai. So I'll send them the document. So it's actually like a very what do you say, very hard work thing which I have done on the Docker document. I cannot say it's a complete KBD, but then it's almost what you need as a beginner. Okay, if you go through that and if you practice it, you can confidently face any questions on the Docker. And then as in the very beginning of the session, what Shoaib I said, it's something that's very common in the market these days. I mean, I'm talking about the Docker. So I'll share the document with Ayat Bhai. Please get in touch with him. And yeah, we should be planning next session. So probably in the next session, we can continue Docker, and then later we'll talk about Kubernetes as well. All right. So if you have any questions, please shoot. Otherwise, we should be good to push off. Sorry.
Thank you so much for your time, Mudassir bhai. Thank you so much. It was nice session overall. I have heard a little bit. थोड़ा मैंने record कर लिया है. I'm going to listen back, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
YouTube channel very soon by editing, making some editing changes.
Sure.